Hey guys, welcome to Mitch's Music. Today I'm continuing my series on basic skills for a beginning guitarist. And today we are doing changing strings. Changing strings seems intimidating at first, but I promise you I'm going to show you some easy things that you can do so that you'll be changing your strings in no time. Today we're doing an electric guitar, and I'll do a video a little bit later for an acoustic guitar because there's a couple of differences and a couple of tips I want to give you specific to the acoustic guitar and specific to the electric guitar. So today we're doing electric, a little later we're going to do acoustic. Before we get started, I wanted to dispel a couple of myths. The first myth is that you shouldn't change your strings on the day of a show. Now, I don't really know where this myth comes from because you do have a little bit of tuning fluctuation in the first 30 minutes to an hour once you change your strings. But I'm going to give you some tips that you shouldn't have to worry about, so don't be afraid of changing your strings on the day of the show. So the first tip I'd like to give you is that make sure that you change your strings at least 30 minutes before a show, or an hour is a little bit better. So really what we want to do is give our strings times to settle and stretch a little bit. And the best way to do that is once you get your strings on, tune it, then play a little bit, retune it, play a little bit more, and then by the time your show comes, tune it again, and you should be ready to go. You might have a few tuning issues, but nothing major, nothing to be afraid of, and your set will sound better with new strings. The other thing is, depending on your style, you may want to change your strings a little earlier. I know that for me, I love the sound of new strings when I'm playing clean songs. But if I'm doing a lot of distorted stuff, I want my strings to break in a little bit more. I don't like that shimmer of new string sound on the distorted guitar, so really that's a personal preference. So if you are playing more distorted things, then maybe you want to change it even a little earlier than that. But all of us will eventually run into breaking a string on stage and having to change it, and I promise you, once you get it on there, once you get it tuned up, you're not going to have a ton of problem. The other thing I want to talk about is how often should you change your strings. So you should change your strings really based more on how often you play and where you keep your guitar. So if you're having a lot of temperature fluctuation, a lot of, like you're keeping your guitar in a humid place or you're moving it around a lot, then your guitar is going to end up getting that rust on it. And so that's going to make you have to change your strings a little bit more. I'm cheap, so I honestly leave my strings on longer than I should most of the time. But the thing that you want to look for to know that you need to change your strings is that you'll start to see little rust or dirt deposits on your string. You can wipe those off with a cloth, but eventually they'll just be more than you can handle, and your guitar will start to lose a little bit of its intonation. Once you start noticing more tuning problems, then it's definitely time to change your strings. If you are not playing your guitar that often, you can probably get away with having your strings on there for a couple of months. If you're playing more frequently, then you'd probably need to change your strings maybe every 2 weeks. When I was playing nightly, I was changing my strings once a week. So it really depends on your environment and how much you play. All right, guys, let's get started checking out how to change the strings on this guitar. All right, guys, so we are going to change strings on my Strat today. And before we do that, I wanted to talk to you about this thing right here. It has saved me so much trouble. It's a Planet Waves string changing thing in it. I don't really know the name of it, but anyway, it has the part to change the tuners, to turn the tuners, and I use this sometimes, but I don't always. use it for everything. But the main thing I like about this is I cannot keep up with wire cutters. So it actually has wire cutters built in, and I'm going to use those in a few minutes. I will look this up and I'll leave a link in the description if you guys are interested in getting your own. So I'm going to do the part of taking this off down here without using this, just in case you don't have that, but I will use it as a wire cutter. So if you have some wire cutters, then make sure you have those around. So we're going to get the strings off first. All right, so just turn it towards you to loosen it. All right, and notice I did not cut the ends on mine, so I'm going to turn it until this part gets to the other side. All right, then I'm going to go around. I'm going to pull that out. All right, and that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to do the fast forward thingy so that you don't have to watch me do that with all of them. All right, so now the strings are off. So we have this, and before I pull them all out down here, down through the saddles and out of the bridge, just to make that a little easier, I'm going to clip off these ends. So I'm just going to take the wire cutters that you have, and you can just clip off a little bit. If you have, these wire cutters are not strong enough to do all the strings at once. If you have some wire cutters, well, if you have some wire cutters that are a little stronger than this, do all the strings at once. I'll see how many I can do at one time. There we go. All right, so throw these guys away. Make sure that they don't fall on the floor because they do hurt. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to turn the guitar over. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, so all we're doing is coming out of the back. Sometimes I have taken the backing off of mine. Sometimes the back does not meet where you have holes at the bottom. So you may have to take your backing off as well to get it out cleanly. So you'll know immediately once you push through, it'll hit that plastic and you won't be able to get it out. But anyway, just pull it through there. All right. And do that with each of the strings. So if you have a guitar that has a bridge that kind of moves around, mine is screwed into the body. So if you have a bridge that moves around, you may want to keep a hand on it so that it doesn't fall off, because once it loses that tension with the strings, then it's going to want to fall. So now I've got all the strings out. All right. Pretty simple. So let me dispose of those. All right, so I use regular slinkies. That means that they are 10 gauge on the bottom. I have used several different brands of electric strings, and you know, even though I don't really have a preference, these tend to be the ones that I go to most often. I also like Fender Bullets. I've played DR, Blue Steel. Elixirs, to me, for electric, they're not worth the price. The regular Slinkies are cheaper and they sound pretty good, so they work fine for me. On acoustic, I do mostly elixirs. So I'm pretty much always using elixirs. I just like their length of time that they stay good. The reason I don't use elixirs on my electric is for some reason I have had issues with them breaking. So I've found that the regular Slinkies last a decent amount of time and I don't have any breakage problems. All right, so we're going to just do the opposite of what we just did. So we're going to go in the back again, pull it out. All right, so let me make sure you can see this. We are going to go to the end over here, wrap it around. Mine does not have much clearance, so I'm only going to wrap it around once. On most guitars, I would wrap it around twice. But here's the trick. You want to make sure that once you pass it through, it goes over the part that you just did. All right? So I did once around and then over. And then after that, we're just going to tighten it up. All right, keep that under. All right, and like I said, this these are some tuning locks on this guitar, and they just don't have as much clearance up here. So normally I would, on my Telecaster, I would go around twice. But honestly, it doesn't make too much of a difference. You just want to make sure that it's on there, and you want to make sure that you go, as you go through the hole, you want to make sure that you're passing over the part that you just looped around so that it holds it down. All right, so let's do that with one more, and then I'll speed it up. All right, and that's it. If you have any questions about the process, then just send that in the comments below and I'll answer that question. I am actually going to do one more because these things down here will help with tuning. They are put in to, you're going to pass the string under it, so I'll show you how to do that if your guitar has those. So all I'm going to do, same thing that I did with the others. Pass it through, but this time I'm going to go under that, then go around. And you can go ahead and cut these off if they're getting in your way, like they kind of are for me right now. All right. And that's it. All right, and that is it. Finished. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to come back with these clippers and I'm going to clip the ends of the strings off. I normally leave a little bit extra. Some people cut it all the way down. It really doesn't matter. It's just personal preference. Don't let anybody tell you different. There's a lot of guitarists out there that think that their way is the only right way, but there really is no right way. So and that's it. And that's it, guys. So brand new strings on it. It's ready to go. It is trimmed up here. So like I said, all I'm going to do next is just tune it up. If you are not used to the different sounds of these strings, just make sure that you start with a reference point so that you don't tune them too high, because they will break. The main ones to worry about breaking are the G, B, and E strings. These bottom three normally don't break unless something's happening in your bridge. I had several break in the bridge. But so watch my tuning video if you need help with the tuning, and your guitar should be ready to go. Like I said, play it, tune it again, play it one more time, tune it one more time, and you should be good to go. Guys, right now I am doing a 30-day guitar challenge, so if you're brand new to guitar, then sign up for that. By the end of the 30 days, you'll know everything that you need to know to really get a head start on guitar and start learning songs by yourself without the help of a private teacher or anyone else. And it will also teach you how to teach others. So if you have kids, it's a great way to learn with them. You guys can learn together, and I'll teach you how to learn in steps. So if something is too hard for you, I'll show you ways to break it down to simple ways so that you can get started no matter what level you're at. See you next time, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click that subscribe button if you did.